Then came the Queen's Proclamation Act of 1858. While assuming direct responsibility for the governance of India, the Queen issued a proclamation on 1st November 1858, which contained the principles which were to form the basis of future government in India. It assured the Indian princes that all treaties and engagements made by the company would be scrupulously observed by the Crown. It disclaimed for further territorial possessions, promised to respect rights, dignity and honour of the princes, asserted its determination to faithfully and continuously fulfill its obligation towards the Indian people and to consider them at par with other British subjects, promised to stimulate industry, promote works of public utility and to govern the country for the benefit of all subjects. The proclamation assured complete freedom of religion, belief and worship to the people and promised that no discrimination shall be made on the basis of race or creed in matters of appointment to offices under the Crown. The proclamation is often described as the Magna Carta and continued to be the basis of the government's policy till 1917. Then came the Indian Council Act of 1861. This act introduced many important changes in Indian administration. It introduced representative institutions in the country for the first time and associated the Indians with legislative work. It enlarged the Council of the Governor General by providing for not less than 6 and not more than 12 additional members. At least half of these members were to be non-official members and could hold office for 2 years. The Legislative Council was given the power to make laws and regulations for all persons, places and things and public servants inside and outside British India. However, the Council could not enact measures relating to public debt or public revenues, religious, military and naval matters without the prior approval of the Governor General. The Governor General could also veto the bills enacted by the Legislative Council. The Act of 1861 restored legislative powers to the Presidency Government of Bombay and Madras and authorized them to enact laws for the benefit of provinces. However, the provisional legislatures were to ensure that their laws were not contrary to the laws or acts of the central legislature. Then, Indian Council Act of 1892. The Indian Council Act 1861 suffered from several shortcomings, which were sought to be rectified by the Indian Council Act of 1892. The Indian National Congress also exerted pressure for further reforms and concessions. This led to the enactment of the Act of 1892, which increased the strength of the central as well as provisional legislative council. It partially introduced the elective system and greatly enlarged the functions of the council. The central council was not to have less than 10 and not more than 16 additional members, while the legislative councils of Bombay and Madras were not to have less than 8 and more than 20 additional members. The Act provided that at least 2/5 of these additional members shall be non-officials. The councils were given the power to discuss the budget even though they could not vote onto it. They could also ask questions relating to government matters, but only within certain restrictions. The President could disallow discussion on any issue in the council without assigning any reason. It cannot be denied that the Act was an improvement on the existing position insofar as it provided an opportunity to the Indians to share councils at the highest levels and laid the foundation of representative government. However, the system of election introduced by the Acts went ahead with the plan of dividing Bengal. As a result, the national leaders launched an agitation for revoking the partition of Bengal in 1905. The extremist nationalists adopted the methods of Swadeshi and boycott to bring pressure on the British government to end partition. Subsequently, these methods were adopted to damage Britain's economic interest and to bring pressure on it to concede to Indian demands. Swadeshi and boycott were intimately connected and complementary to each other. While boycott was designed to discourage consumption of British goods, to harm British economic interest and compel it to concede Indian demands, Swadeshi was designed to promote Indian industries and promote the spirit of patriotism among the people. It is noteworthy that both the moderates and extremists favoured adoption of boycott and Swadeshi. But while the moderates favoured these methods only for the attainment of specific objectives, the extremists wanted to make a liberal use of them and were in favour of extending them to various fields. Boycott of educational institutions and establishment of national schools, boycott of courts, adoption of voluntary arbitration, etc. The difference between the moderates and extremists assumed serious dimension in 1907 when a formal split between the two took place. Thereafter, the two wings of nationalists continued to work independently till they were united in 1916.